Hello and welcome to this tutorial by Sassycat 3D. We are going to finish this tutorial with the dragon and do the tail, the legs and the whole finished model. So let's get started. Here we go. We are in Tinkercad and I have opened up the file that we have been working on so far. This cute little dragon design with the articulating body. And now I want to make the rest of the body, and I want to make some legs for it and of course the tail. So I am going to start with selecting all of the model and moving it, because I want as much space as possible to make this model and make it fill up the whole place. So I'm going to continue just copy and pasting these scales until we have the whole part done, and I'm going to scale them a little bit down every time so it's a bit smaller each time. So it goes from big to small. And I'm always checking with the holes that they are aligned properly and not touching anywhere they shouldn't be. Just gonna put my grid on 0.1. There we go. So now I can just move this until I'm happy with it and make this a solid again. And of course you can add details to the scales if you want to. Could be a bridge or something on the back of these. We could do that. Let's just make a elongated cone scale thing. Just to make something different. Just gonna take it and see where we want it. See how much we want it to. That's about fine there. So I'm just going to take this one and this one. I'm going to move them out here because I'm just going to make sure that this will be cut off in here. So what I'm going to do is just ungroup this one until I have the inside this one, and just remove the excess shapes that we don't need. And now you can see how it looks, or how it's going to look when you cut it. So I'm just going to move it down just a smidge like this, and we needed to move inside there, so we are basically covered. Now I'm just going to group these two together so I have the shape, and now I have an exact shape that fits onto the other scales also. So now I can take this and I can rearrange the orientation because we have this at an angle. Just going to move it up a bit like that, and like so. And then it is easier if I just group. I need to just copy this one first for the first ridge, but take this one and group it with this one so they are together, so I can just copy the whole thing and just not have to do this on every single scale of the body. I'm going to do it for this one. Just move it into place and a bit up because the scale is larger than the other ones. Just a smidge down again. There we go. And of course group it. There we go. So now we have back ridges. You can also add scales. Usually if I want to add scales to a dragon, like I did for my birthday dragon, actually, I can show you that too. It's you have all these kinds of shapes, and if you can just find one where you have sort of the shape you want, then you can actually utilize that. But this one is actually the one I used for all the scales on my birthday dragon. And it's yeah, they named it a bunny ear in here, but it's a good shape to work with because it's such an organic form. As you can see, you can rescale it and do all sorts of things. You can make it whatever you want, but right now I want it to look a bit like a dragon scale, so I can do like this, and then I can turn it the other way because you have this very nice oval shape on the other side. And then you can actually take this and you can rearrange it, and you can just put it on your model wherever you want it and orient it the way you want it. And this way you have scales, and then you can just, if you copy them and you make another angle here, you can make them overlapping and still printable. As you can see here, like this. Now you have 2 sets of scales. Of course, you can just take these and copy them and put them on the other side. And let's see, just mirror these this way, and then you can add them to this. Of course, we'll need to reorient them a bit because this is not exactly the same orientation as the other side because the scale is tilted. See if we do it like this. Just use the arrow keys to rearrange it. Now you have a set of scales on each side of these. So now we have the model the way we want it for the body. So I will not be adding the scales to this inner part because it's very tight in here, and I want it to be free moving when we get it printed. So I am going to take this scale here and mark them all, and then I'm going to Control C and Control V. So now we have this entire scale of the body, and we can go ahead and use Shift to just make it proportionately a bit smaller than the last one, and then we can arrange it in here so it fits the way it should. So I'm just going to make this one a hole so I can look into and see if anything touches, and we are clear in here. See, it's not touching anything, there's nothing grayed out here, so I might just move this scale and this one a bit inward. Oh, they're sticking out, that's why. Good. So these are fine. Sometimes you need to move the items around to see how they look inside. You could of course do as I did before with this one, the top ridge, and cut off these by just making a copy of this one and ungrouping it until you get the form you need from the inside, and then you can delete that, and then you can put this one in and just use it for getting rid of those edges if you want to. I'm not going to do it here because it's not going to affect the way it looks on the outside, and it's not going to affect our movement of the body parts. So This is basically what I do. I copy paste all the way until I have this body scale the way I want. As you can see now, we need to adjust the angle of this current scale, because if we need a quite a sharp turn down here. So I'm just going to give it a 5 or 10% angle here, so I can start rearranging everything. And I'm gonna look at this one again, see if we are clear. And as long as you're clear, it should print just fine, but I do like to have good margins on everything. So if your print starts to come loose and wobble a bit on the print plate, then you still have some room to work with and it won't ruin the whole thing. So I'm just going to keep this one at the scale it is and just copy it and take the next one and put it again at a 10-degree angle. 5% for this one. 5. You can always, if you do this with reorienting it, you can always do it like that and let go of the mouse button, and then you can say whatever degree you want, just put it in there with a number and it will adjust it to that. Let's see. This is of course the boring part of making these models. It's getting all these little scales put the right positions, put into the right positions was what I was trying to say. So you're sure you have enough clearance. There we go. So that's basically how you're just going to continue. And now we have so many scales, so now I can do something new. Because I'm lazy and it's easier. So now I'm going to mark all the way up to this one. Just make sure to have this side scale with me. And I'm going to copy the whole part here. And I'm going to shift and just make it a bit smaller. And then I'm going to reorient the whole thing. And just see what angle can I use. And how much downscaling do I need to get this angle right. As you can see, I need to adjust the angles of some of these because we will be going out over the build plate now. But it does go a little bit faster if you do it this way. So let's see, I think we can have a good margin here still. And do it like that. So I'm just going to make this one a hole, and as you can see, this one is actually touching, so we need to mark all of these again and move this one a bit and see if we have clearance, and we do not. So I'm just going to give it a couple of more degrees and go back in again and get it rearranged. Let's see, that's better for that one. Then I'm going to make this one solid and I'm going to make this one a hole because we have a lot of angle here we can use now. So now I can take these 3 scales and rearrange those and give them 5-degree angle and just go in and look. This whole thing is brilliant in Tinkercad because you can really see what's going on inside. So you're sure you're not touching anything you should not be touching. So let's take this one and make this one a hole and take these 2 And let's give it 5 degrees. Let's go in and check to see how clear our margins are. And you might have to go over this a couple of times with the angles all the way up through the body of the previous scales, just to see if you can make a better clearance. So now we're going to take this one, 5 degrees. I'm going to try and see if I can do it 10 degrees and just keep it oriented this way. See, we almost have it. Almost. So now I can go up here and I can just move my dragon a bit upwards on the plate. See how it looks. We are still just going to take the side view, just move it up a bit here, like that, and we are clear. You see, now we have a whole body here, and I'm thinking we're going to see if we can make a sharp turn here and get the tail to sort of coil here, and we still have some room for a leg or two. So I'm going to take these that are scaled here. I'm thinking I'm taking these 3 because they are small and easy to work with. I'm going to take these 3 and I'm going to copy and paste them, and I'm going to scale them down with shift, proportionately scale them down a bit. Not too much, but a bit. And rearrange them. And see what angle I can put them at and still be able to have free room and range. I think this will be good. You see, just by making them a bit smaller, we get a bit tighter with the orientation here, and it actually makes it so we can do this. And we still have clear margins here also. They're not touching even though they look tight. I might just give this one a small adjustment. I'm just going to see, well, this one is touching a bit, so we need to reorient that one a bit. And let's see, give it maybe a couple of degrees like that. And just see here. Like so. I think this was just a bit too tight. And maybe it is here too, but we can just move this scale in a bit, and then you have a bit of better there we go. It's these small adjustments that just help out a lot. Now we have the whole curve here, and I like this curve, so I'm going to just take these scales and just make sure this little side scale here is also marked. Gonna control copy and do the same. See what angle I want them at, and then we are going to hold shift down and scale them down a bit, and that way we make the tail smaller and smaller, and until we have the body the way we want it. Also, I have a good angle here on the scale, so it's rounding up nicely. So now I just need to make sure this one is not touching anything it shouldn't be. Inside here we have a small gap. There we go. And we make it a solid again. See, now we have this good angle, we have room for legs, and we have a good twist going on here with the orientation of this. So now I can hold shift down and mark these there, and I'm going to copy paste again. Reorient it, and also shift and scale it down a bit. So you quickly learn how to see if you are at the right angles or not. But always it's a good idea to use the hole here and just make sure you get it not to touch inside, because that will fuse the print and you can't have a articulation on the body then. There you go. This is what's taking the most time, is making all these little body scales and getting them put in the right position. Again, copy paste, reorient the way it's turned, and shift, resize, and of course rearrange, see if it's the right angle or if you need to adjust it a bit. See, you learn how to do this by just looking at it, and actually we are right on the spot for this one. But now I'm thinking I want a tail to... Yeah, I don't know if we should make it tighter. We could just put another coil in this tail and Control copy, Control V, and rearrange, and shift, scale down. I'm not sure we can have the angle here for this, but we'll see. It's going to be tight. We might actually just be able to pull this off. Let's see what the hole... What does the hole say? We need to redo that a bit. Of course you could group these one to the sides, but I like it when they have the colors the way they do right now, so I don't do that. But you could easily just group these to the scales also. There, it's a bit tight here, but I think we can make it work. There, of course this one doesn't have to be centered in the middle of the oval inside, but you can center it, but you can also use the whole hole just to actually get a tighter angle on the scales like I'm doing now. So that way we utilize even more space. So now we can, if we can just get one more coil in here to actually make room for the tail, for the last part of the tail here, that would be just fine. There, I just need to hold shift down and get these marked. So I'm sure they will move along with the design. There. Control copy and reorient it. See. And shift and scale proportionately. I'm going to make this a bit smaller than the last one, because I want the angle to be a bit tighter. Like so. Then if we move it all the way over here, like that. Then of course, just check to see if we... see, it's actually touching in here. We can't have that. So we're just going to mark them again. Like that, and move them just a bit, like so. So for a tail, it's very well, it's much up to the design what you want to make. I'm thinking since this has some long bunny-like ears, we could make a bunny-like tail for this one. And I would maybe just let's go with this one. We go with the egg shape, and we take it and we lay it down at a 90 degrees angle, and I just resize it proportionately, and then I want it to be down into the work plane so we don't have any odd angles, like that. And I'm going to take my whole box, and like the other times I'm just going to make sure it covers the whole thing, and I'm going to drag it down and say -20, and I'm going to cut off everything that's underneath the work plane. So now we just have a flat half egg. So I can take this half egg and I can put it on the end of this, and I will make it into the last scale here. So it will be inside here and actually fuse with this scale. Oh, that was the wrong one. I want it to be a bit taller, so I drag on this one. And I want it to maybe not be that wide, so I am just going to I think I want more of the bottom to show on this one, so I'm just going to ungroup it again and take it up a notch and see how that looks. It's really, for me, it's a lot with just playing around with the shapes and seeing what I think I like and just adding to it or taking away from it. Let's see, I think that's better, and just making it not so tall and reorienting it a bit like that. And then I'm just going to mark the box down again and regroup. And now we have a rattlesnake-like thing here. And I am going to take these scales on the side, and I'm going to make a copy of him and make them like this, and I'm going to reorient them and put them on so it looks like the scales are continuing like that. And I'm going to make another copy. And I know the color's not important, but for me it makes sense to keep the colors this way, because I like to see the colors in the design, how do they look. But it's not really important. You can have it all in one color if you wanted to, without any trouble. There. See, now it has scales around the side, so I'm going to mark all of these And I'm going to copy them and mirror them, and then I'm going to adjust the angle on the other side and place them on our tail part. Just going to have a look, see if they are sort of put the same way as the other side, like that. I'm thinking we are going to take this and just copy it in, and I'm going to take the ridge scale here and I'm going to put that on this too, and just angle it and copy it and rearrange. And then I'm going to start tilting it a bit backwards. And taking it a bit down into the design, like so. And gonna do that again. Take it into and down and give it a bit of an angle like that. Just need to, there. And I think we need a last one to be put there. Now we have a tail and a body of this snake, serpent thing. Now we need some legs on it. I think we need legs on it. It's going to be very tight to put legs on this one. I can see that now, but we can try and maybe give it some back legs and some front legs. We can put the front legs up on this one and maybe utilize some of this space up here. Maybe readjust the ears so they don't go that far down. Or we could actually make a cutout in this part and have the legs come out here for the front legs and just have the back legs moving. Let's see what we will do. Now for legs, I generally use a cylinder shape. I put the sides at the most 64, so it's as smooth as possible. And then I make a cylinder that I use my shift to rearrange and just sort of play around with the shape until I have something I think would look like an okay size and scale for a leg. And then I take it and I rearrange it again. So this could be the top part, and if we put it in there, we could have a leg part here. Now that I think about it, I might be able to, with the right angle, actually put one here. It's very tight here, but we could utilize this space to make this leg if we just keep it straight ahead. Yeah, we could do that. So basically I'm going to, now that I can see it can work, I'm just going to adjust the angle so I'm sure I have a good angle that's also printable and not touching the other scales in here. So now I'm happy with this angle. So now I'm going to take this and I'm going to mark the scale by the side, all of it, that I want the legs to attach to, and I'm going to copy and paste and just take this and move it out here. I'm going to delete this because now I have a copy of this scale I can work with, and when I'm happy with it I can just take the leg part and put it over on the other one. So let's do that. Yeah, that's fine. We can work with this. So of course you have to again remember you have the inside angle here, but you can redo that afterwards. Now we're going to make the legs. So I want the legs to be 2 parts, and I want them to be able to have a joint where they move. So now I'm just going to take this one, copy it, and put it at an angle again with the other leg. And I know I have a very tight angle, so I'm not going to reorient it too much. And just have a look and see how we are with the proportions and stuff. Usually the forearm is a bit shorter, so I'm just going to make it a bit shorter and like that. Now I want to make a movable part here, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my box here and I'm going to cut off this angle. So I have a nice clear, just need to drag it down underneath so we get the whole angle. There we go. So now I have a clear space here and you can see where it cuts off. I'm just going to also cut off what is underneath, so I know what I have to work with. And the same for this one. See, I just want it to be sort of hitting this mark here. There we go. So I'm going to take this, and I'm not going to group this one with it, because that would group this one and this one together, and then I can't move them separately. So I'm going to do my box again and pull it down and say -20, and then there we go. Now we have these 2 parts to work with, and now I want a cylinder with a tube here and smooth it out with the sides, and I'm going to take this one and make it a bit oval, do like that. And then I am going to take this one and put it into the leg part here, and we're going to do a ring movement with these 2. I'm going to take it up a bit and into the model's leg. Just going to make it a bit smaller and readjust it so it's not sticking out crazy. We need free room to have the opposite ring from the other one to move through it. Like that. And then I'm going to take this one and paste it, and then I'm going to just do this, reorient it at an angle. So this one needs to not hit the inside of that and still be clear on the other sides, and this is really the part where you get to play around with angles and stuff. And now you see this is too long down, far down. We still need there to be able to print this bottom part so it's not too fragile. So if we do like that, and we maybe make it a bit less tall and move it inside. So now we need to see if these are touching. They are not, but the angle is very tight, so I might just bring this one up a bit, like that. So this is another kind of movement you can make, just a ring oriented one way with a ring oriented the other way, and now they can move freely inside each other and they print in place like this. Now we actually have a movable leg, so now we need to make a paw here. And I'm thinking this is a bit too long, so I'm going to cut some of it off. Just because I like the forearm to be not that long. There we go. Yes. Now I'm just going to just going to unhinge all of these. This is our hole. Just going to take all of these and delete them. And this is what we need for a hole. So we can see this is where the arms are touching inside the model. So we need that gone before we do anything more, like that. There. So now it's made perfectly to fit the scales over here on this body. So it doesn't get inside and hinder the movement of the model. There we go. So this is how the leg looks so far. Now we need to make the paw part. And there's a couple of ways you can do it, but basically it's just playing around with shapes like usual. I like to take this one and make it flat and like so. Rescale it a bit. So I sort of have a I don't know what you call this part with the ridge of the hand. That's the foot, not the hand. Rescale it a bit more. Just like to play around with angles and stuff. See, I want it like that. And I know I move around a lot, but it's really important to see what your model looks like from all sides, so you have a good idea of if this will work or not. Rescale it just a smidge there, so it seems like it's smooth out from one angle. There we go. Now we have a paw-like structure. So now I'm going to copy this, and then I'm going to take it and make it a bit smaller with the shift, and just gonna rearrange it a bit. See if we do like that. It's gonna be a little chubby foot. And like that. Now you have a basic shape for a foot or a paw. Gonna bring this one down a bit, like that. And then you would maybe want some claws on it, so let's take this paraboloid thing that I can't pronounce, and let's use this for some claws. And again, it's much about resizing and sort of trying out what you like and what you don't like, what looks good and what doesn't. So I can do this and just put it inside the foot. Maybe just take it up a bit like that. See, now we have a claw for the foot, and we can copy this and rearrange the angle for the other side. Still need it into the foot a bit more. Like that, and we need the last one for the middle one. And of course now I need to cut off all that's underneath here, so I'm going to take my trusty box and I'm going to do this again. I just need to be able to see what I'm doing here. And I'm just going to mark the claws and do that to cut them off. And of course I need to do this for the foot also. Just mark these, because this will also group these together, so it's easy to work with. I need to make the box a bit bigger because we have a little area here that's not covered. So I will have to ungroup that again and just make this box a bit bigger. There we go. And mark all of these again. So I'm sure they're all marked. And regroup. And we'll take a look and see what our paw looks like. There we go. Now we have a leg, and we can go and put that on the side of the dragon. So it's just going to mark the whole thing and move it up here to the one we chose and see if we have enough room. And it looks like we have just enough room for it. As you see, there's clear margins here and there also. And let's have a look inside, see if it fits inside. Also, it looks really good placement wise. And now I can take this one, and I might need to rearrange it a bit for the other side because we don't have that much to work with here. So I'm going to copy it and pull it over and use the mirror tool to make it mirrored, and then just see what we have here. You see the angle here is going to be tighter and a bit harder to work with. We might need to reorient our dragon a bit. Also maybe do something with the ear. Let's see. This is a challenging part, to get everything to fit into this place and have everything working together the way it should. Let's see there now. So now I'm going to try and take all of the dragon, and I'm going to try and move it around on the build plate and see if I can get a better angle for it. I don't think anything will change the way it works right now, but if we can't get it to work, we have the possibility of resizing the whole thing so it's actually still centered in or inside the frame we are working with. So I take the whole dragon and I take shift down, and I'm just going to resize it a bit so I'm sure we have room for everything, like that. And now we have room for the legs and everything. So now I need to put in another copy of the legs and just drag him out here, because we need to put 2 sets of legs more on this one. And now I'm going to take this leg and I'm just going to scale it down a bit with this shift. And where do we want it? Could we maybe fit it in here? Let's see. Or we make it down here. Yeah, we could actually put it inside here, maybe, at this scale. It's going to be hind legs then. Nah, I don't like it there, but I still need space on the other side to actually fit the legs. So maybe here. I think we need to make it just a bit smaller. And fit it onto this one. Let's see. Just need to make sure it's not touching or too far into the design. Like that. And we need to make sure it doesn't touch the scale in front either. Yeah, I think this is good. Then we take it and we mirror it and we adjust the angle. Now if you come to this point and you're like, okay, this leg is too big, I don't like it being that large, and you want to rescale it, but now you have the other one placed the way you want it, you can just grab both of them, just hold shift down and make sure you choose everything, and then you can rescale them together. So we just push shift down and you can see now they are both scaling at the same time. And then you can just mark this one over here again and rearrange it until you like how it's looking. And the same for the other one. And here I would actually make this angle a little bit different. I want it maybe to be a bit sharper in the angle here, like this, since I have the room for it. But now you see it's touching in the inside here, or it's not touching, but it's pointing out on the inside. So we can take this one, copy it, and just undo this and take these away, and just take this one and put it on the inside and make sure it sort of orients the way it should without going too far, and hold shift down with the leg and just cut off this part. There we go. So now we have a finished dragon. Now all we need to do is export it and test print it. Hooray! So now to export the whole thing, that's quite easy. You just have to make sure before you export anything that you actually have cut off everything underneath the work plane, or else you will have a Cura that puts it in at the lowest point will be the point that's sticking down to the plate, and you will have a print that doesn't print the way it should. So here we have the problem of this chin part sticking out under the plate. And what I like to do for this part is actually take my trusty box and make sure it covers the whole working area. And I'm going to take it down like before, and then I'm going to mark the whole dragon, because this way you will make sure that anything that's sticking beneath it will be cut off, and just group it. And this will sometimes take quite some time, because Tinkercad is not the fastest when it comes to this, especially not when you have almost 200 shapes up here to work with. So it's going to be working. As long as it's working, it's red like this all the way around, and you just need to let it work. And then when it's done, it will unmark it, and this box will disappear in the bottom, and then you can click on the export button and you can choose STL, and you can save it to your computer and load it into your slicer, and then you are ready to test print your dragon. Yes. So I think this is it for this tutorial. If you have any requests for tutorials that you would like to see me do, please feel free to comment or find me on TikTok or anywhere. Just send me a message, and I will try and look into see what's possible for a Tinkercad tutorial for me. So thank you for now, and have a nice day. I will see you. Bye bye.